Okay, we are going to get started here. Going to get your handset off and make sure that we can get everything taken apart. I think you're like that. And there we go. All right, let's remove the dial. There we have that. Get that in your hands, tucked away in a safe spot. These movements are so tiny. Just absolutely diminutive. Get your chaining screws put back. Kind of gives you the sense of scale of your case compared to your actual movement. And that case is not very big, to say the least. All right. But these are lovely movements. They are really nice. Okay. That's not where you go. You go in there. Okay. Here's your winding components. Reduction wheels and rocker wheel. That's good. It's got all of its pieces. It's good to see. Sometimes I've seen them where those reduction wheels have issues. This is a sort of interesting style, as it's a bit of a Swiss design. We have this retainer for your offset center sweep. All right, let's go ahead and get your mainspring power wound down. Seems to be some issue here, but Okay. That's good. Let's get your die shocks out. Also good. Go ahead and remove your balance. Simply. Such a delicate little piece right here. That spring, that hairspring is so floppy due to the high beat. You gotta be very careful. We'll take a close look at that. Okay, continue with your teardown. Go ahead and remove this bridge. Oh my goodness, these tiny movement holders are so hard to get tight. So these movements came with either 21 or 17 jewels, and this is a 17 jewel variety, which is more of a non-Japanese worldwide market style. Okay, here we go. Here's your plate and your barrel. Those taken apart and cleaned up. There's your third wheel. Here's your pinion for your sweep. Such an interesting combination of Swiss and Japanese varieties. It's got these secondary bridge plates that hide some of the train and connect train components to other train components. It's just so cool. Got these little screwdriver inserts here where you can lever things off properly. And there we go. More train components. There's your wheels here. Alrighty. Go ahead and get your pallet bridge taken care of. Alright. There it is. There's your pallet fork. Okay, now we got to flip sides and go for your calendar side. Okay, so let's get you flipped over here. Get your other side broken down. Sorry about that. There's the diver specific black date ring. Here's your spring. And your, there we go, here's your dial wavy washer. And your hour gear. Okay. Date changer. Intermediate wheel. Okay. Let's go ahead and get your die shock taken care of. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Continuing on here. Got such an intricate quick date set system. So cool the way it's set up. You can actually pull the stem for the quick date, as you might have noticed, which is really quite cool as a function. Keyless works. Watch all these little springs and things. They can ping off to infinity, which is never fun, because then you have to find them somewhere in the universe. There we go. Intermediate. Tiny intermediate wheel and tiny winding wheel. And take your stem out. And your winding pinion. Now we take your cannon pinion. There we go. And your center wheel should drop right out. And there we have it. Okay. So that's it. Torn down. All the components go in the wash, and we will come back with clean parts.
Hey there, Justin. Just want to give you an update. When I clean your parts, I'm usually working on other stuff just to be, active and busy on the watch. I took your bezel off, and man, look at that. Holy mackerel. I tell you what, that is a watch that saw some use or was buried in a swamp. Because it's pretty amazing. Anyway, we'll get all this cleaned up and get it taken care of. You may have lost a click ball due to corrosion. I see a little bit of rust right here. That's usually indicative of something along those lines happening. We'll have to get deep and get a bit of a pick in there and see what we got. I may have a click ball in place, but man, that's a watch that's awesome use. Okay, fine,
All right.
Justin.
Just a quick update. Got your movement parts going in the cleaner. Just took these out of the bath, and it's amazing what a little bit of time and sonication will do. There's your new crystal. Here's your crystal seal. That'll go right here. Get your crystal in place. Your sealing surfaces were perfect. Got the inside of your bezel all cleared up. Chipped a little in there, but that's just some anodizing that comes off every once in a while. But we'll get your case rebuilt, get everything back together. New seals and ready to go. Nice and clean. Your click ball's in great shape, in fact. It was just buried under a bunch of grime. So, looking good. Hey, Justin. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a update here. So, I've been working on cleaning up your hands and your dial. I think your hands have come out really nice. They have some intrinsic scratching from people manipulating them in the past, some things like that. But overall, they got a nice flat finish, and they look very, very shiny. So I'd say that's a win. One thing I did notice as I was cleaning your dial, which came out, I think, really nice. It has this nice matte thing. There's a few issues, though, that I just want to point out so that you know they're there. In particular, let's see if we can zoom in just a bit more. Okay, what I'm going to try and do is point to these things, and that way you can see what I'm talking about. Your Seiko has a slight bend in it. It's right around the E. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little difficult if you're not doing magnification. Let me see if I can come in a little bit closer. There we go. I guess you can sort of see it in the reflection in this light. The biggest deal to me is that somebody has put a bit of a bend in your dial. I'm not sure if you can see that, but right around that foot, maybe this isn't the right backdrop for this. Right around there is a warp in your dial. Now, I'm not sure what that's from, but it's there. The watch came apart just fine, which meant it was together. I don't see any issue with leaving it. It will not necessarily be noticeable. I mean, I notice a slight, incline to this side of the dial, but I think once we get it back in the case, it'll be fine. But just wanted to let you know. Okay, one other thing to point out about your dial is that it has a date mark on it, which is 7/1, so January of 77, and your case back has February of 77, which is exactly the way you would expect it. So that's good to see. It's the original dial to this watch, and so that's going to go back in its little house. That's great stuff. Okay, Justin, we are about to start reassembly. Here's all your small components, fresh out of the cleaner. Everything's looking pretty good so far. I've done some initial checks on things. Looked at some of your pivots and your jewels, and everything looks good to go. So we're going to start getting things back together. Hey Justin, just wanted to give you a sense of where we are with your 2205. Looking really good. The numbers are super clean right now. We just got finished with it on the bench, and now I'm just testing it. So everything looks great. Super clean signal, really good numbers. This is not full power, so I think we're going to do great. So I'm going to call this train done. I'm going to go ahead and put your calendar back together. It's a little hard for me to film this, so you're not going to see a whole lot other than some shots of the movement here on the actual testing machine. So here's your movement. As we're going, you can see the movement going here. So tiny. Got a couple more parts and pieces to put on, but after that we'll be back together. Okay, Justin, we have reached a pretty important point here, the reconstruction of your 2205. I'm gonna go ahead and get the final piece on. Let's go ahead and get this put in place. There we go. Okay, sorry about all the noise. Everybody is home and having a fun day. Okay, let's get your case back on. Now I'm gonna have to go in here one more time and put your new spring in when it arrives. But overall, I'd say we have reached the end. So let me go ahead and get this cleaned up one last time. Okay, so there we have it. 2205 0760. Looking really good. Okay, so a couple things. Just want to point out a few details on your watch. So from my observations, what I could see was that somebody had been in at some point before and had your hands off and did some things, perhaps even reloomed a few spots. So your hands have suffered a little bit of damage in terms of just shininess. You know, there's some scratching there that you can see under magnification. Your dial, you know, it has a couple little things here and there. The surface of the dial is quite good. It's just in some of the shiny parts. I mean, it reflects really well, and that's what these watches do so well, is those flat surfaces really reflect. So they look really good. Overall, you know, older loom, seen some water, that's okay. Your bezel functions and clicks beautifully. Maybe I can get you to hear some of these great clicks. Let me see if I can get this near the microphone. All the way around. Got good bezel clicks. All the way back to 0. Okay, in terms of new parts, new seals, new stem. So I replaced your stem. Here's your old bent stem is over here. So that's no big deal. That's a low-cost item for sure. Easy to do. Just had to get a new stem for in there. New crystal, of course. New gaskets. You know, it's a great little watch. I'm gonna take a close look just to be sure. So I'm gonna watch this watch very closely for the next few days while I'm waiting on the other part. Mostly because whoever had taken off your hands and put them back on and whatever, there's a little bit of bend and damage, and these hands are so flat, and where the sweep goes around the minute hand, you really have to be sure that there's good clearance side to side. And you know, it's a very sensitive movement, so you just have to be sure. I mean, they're all, you know, they all have their little peccadillos. So I'm just going to keep watching this movement to be sure that everything clears over, you know, 24-hour time window, and that the numbers stay where they are. The numbers are really good. I'm going to go ahead and put it here on the time grapher so you can see it.
just put some wind into the watch, so it's going to have this sort of energy spike. It's going to have a really high number in the 280s with some loss because of the way the hairsprings work. It'll flatten back out, that number will come down a little bit, and the amplitude or the rate will even out back to 0. But overall, such a clean signal. Remember where we started, it was basically all over the place and not very clean. But you're running 260s all day, not losing any time when we finally calm back down. Beat error is 0. It's really where you want it to be. So this is what I like to see out of these movements. Way above 250, good clean signal. Again, when you wind the watch, you get these spikes, and then things have to calm back down, but it will in a moment. So overall, I'm really happy with this. There we go, getting back to good numbers here. Yeah, that's really good. So if we're plus minus 3 seconds a day, I think we are winning. And there we go, just above 0. We'll kind of oscillate around a few seconds a day in terms of accuracy with amplitudes in the 250s and 260s. So this is exactly what I want to see. You know, everything looks fine, and I think we're doing really well. So yeah, so we're going to call this one almost done. We've got a couple little parts, just waiting on a few little things just to finish up, or actually one little thing, just that spring. And I'm going to, of course, watch the activity here. But the case, I mean, it's really in good shape. Once I got all that grime off, you know, it has come up really nice. You see the brushing on the back. Good clean case lines. Nobody's polished this watch. I don't think anybody ever touched this watch for a long time in terms of, you know, taking any of the dirt or any of the material off, and that in a sense saves it, because that stuff sort of holds things in place, and nobody considers even messing with it. So you know, your crown looks really good. Everything just looks great. So you know, couple little things in cosmetics, but those are things you'd really have to sort of hone in on and be looking for. Overall, it's a great watch. It looks just fantastic. So there'll be some parts coming back to you on this one, and we're just gonna keep an eye on it and wait for that part to come in. All right, thanks a lot.